day. It's with some sadness that I have to make this short video in appreciation of and tribute to a legendary figure in classic rock and indeed late 20th century, 21st century music. Robbie Robertson, who sadly passed away today at the age of 80. He was just a few days past his 80th birthday. So the enemy of all of us and the enemy of classic rock, time has taken its toll yet again. And one of the most renowned Canadian musicians, songwriter, guitarist, producer, collaborators, Robbie Robertson, who left a hugely influential mark on classic rock, has departed, and it's difficult now to sum up in a short video the influence and importance of an artist. But Robbie Robertson, through his own work and his role in the band, and indeed his collaborative work with other musicians, he's left an indelible mark on music over a career spanning several decades, and I think it's appropriate just to say a few words about him and to pay tribute to him. So Robbie Robertson, guitarist and songwriting force behind the band, dead at 80. Born in Ontario, in Canada, to a First Nations mother, and born on First Nations reservation. Grew up obviously in Ontario and Canada, but then branched out to be a huge figure in the world of rock. And it was great, at least, that his ex-wife, and his children and their various partners were all there with him as he passed. So what can we say about someone that had so much influence over the years, and indeed has been a fixture in my music listening since the mid-70s, when I became aware of material like the band. And first of all, these musicians that had the confidence, and some may say arrogance, but the confidence to call themselves the band or the band, says an awful lot about their qualities as musicians. And they were indeed stupendous musical appreciators, and were able to translate that into something that was both old and nostalgic, but equally new and influential and innovative. It was such a unique band. It's hard to think of another band like the band. And Robertson was a huge part of that outfit. Early in his career, he'd worked with a session musician on a number of records, and as a songwriter in the 50s and 60s, and worked with, and key artists he worked with was Ronnie Hawkins, and basically the band became his backing band, the Hawks. And in fact, that's when he also experienced some of his early experiences with Bob Dylan, backing Bob Dylan when he went electric at the Manchester Free Trade Hall on that infamous UK tour, when Dylan just told them to turn it up loud. A moment that will live in history, I think. It was during that formative period with Ronnie Hawkins and working with guys like Dylan that he began to develop his very distinctive guitar style, particularly on the Telecaster and some Strat work and others, but he certainly had a vicious Telecaster style, brilliant. wonderful melodic taste, very tasteful progressions, and a blend of various musical influences. So in the mid '60s, the Hawks morphed into the band, and it's always ironic that this most cited as this most American of bands, of course, only had one American, Levon Helm, in the band. The rest all being Canadians. Garth Hudson, of course, is still with us, I'm pleased to say. I think he's a fair old age now, like 85, but Garth Hudson, I think, is the remaining member of that initial lineup of Helm, Danko, Manuel, and Hudson. And their music to this day defies easy categorization. I think if I was to say anything around trying to genreize them, and that's not a word I know, it would be to say they invented what we've come to call Americana. They were a rock band, they were a folk band, they were a country band, they were a soul band. As I say, they were both nostalgic and innovative, and they took those things and they blended them into something very new and very unique, and spawned countless acts that came after them. And to this day, are a hugely influential band. And Robertson's songwriting and guitar playing and other instruments that he played, but guitar playing is and that blend of influences he put into his songwriting is still massively influential today. And there's something for almost everybody in there, but they were by no means derivative. It's that taking of influences and blending them into something new, and they did that extremely well. I do love some of these pictures of him in his prime, roughly speaking, in the Last Waltz era, early to mid '70s. Playing a Strat there, I think. Where's that? The telly. With my eyesight, who can tell? Also, a really good hat wearer, I have to say. This is the Manchester Free Trade Hall, where the Hawks, I think the drummer was actually Mickey Jones at the time, different drummer. Where they turned it up loud. As I say, that will live in history. That is a full great documentaries about that tour that you can watch. And I love the look that they perfected, which was very oldie worldy, very rustic, but at the same time they could just play modern music so well. And they made a series of fantastic albums, which we'll just take a look at in a second. But the Last Waltz, of course, the farewell concert that they did, with the subsequent movie directed by Martin Scorsese and a cast of thousands of friends and artists who admired them, is a fabulous movie. If you want to see a snapshot of that sort of early to mid '70s rock royalty playing these wonderful songs in different combinations, and it was their farewell fling, but it was still a superb. They were still such a good band musically on stage and live, just incredible. So go watch. If you've never seen The Last Waltz, go check that out. The albums, such as the debut Music from Big Pink in 1968, which has got an earthy, rootsy sound to it, totally at odds with much of the psychedelic and heavy rock that was becoming more prevalent, but nonetheless still as exciting as that. That kicked off, basically a new world for many musicians. It got them critical acclaim, and they did build up a devoted fan base. I mean, perhaps never the most hugely commercially successful band, but enormously critically acclaimed, and did a series of fantastic tours and build up an army of devoted fans. The songwriting, A lot of it by Robbie Robertson. Told stories. There was a lot of stories to tell. Very evocative, very intricate, and just subsequent albums like The Band and Stage Fright, they solidified that prowess of Robertson as a songwriter, and the band overall as interpreters of music and creators of a new sound that was their own sound. So, fantastic albums, absolutely should be in everyone's collection if you're into classic rock. I mean, the song "The Weight," for instance, is one that everybody knows as an absolute stone cold classic. Up on Cripple Creek, just so many other fantastic songs. Too many to go into in a short video. I mean, it would take a real musicologist and expert and devotee of the band to do them justice. I certainly can't do that. I'm just an appreciator. They really, and The Weight became a huge anthem for many people in the late 60s and was covered by many acts. But of course, he went on to have a fantastic solo career. Multiple really beautiful albums, including the debut solo Robbie Robertson album. Did a lot of film worked with a lot of great other artists and producers, and multiple accolades. I mean, Canadian Music Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame. His contributions to music truly have. Very few people can say they've altered the landscape of rock music, and indeed country and folk, as the band's influence spread far beyond that. And indeed creating the Americana idea. These all it's all solidified his legacy as a true visionary. So, what can you say about such a wonderful artist that will be sadly missed, but he left a legacy to be proud of. Absolutely. So, so including this, we mentioned The Weight and many other great songs, but obviously this, I don't want to drag all the albums out, but this particular track, Somewhere Down the Crazy River, will probably be remembered by many people and loved by many people for a long time. I've been playing it a couple of times today. Probably play it a little bit more along with some of the albums over the next few weeks. I'd like to think that Robbie is now floating somewhere down that crazy river himself. So rest in peace, Robbie Robertson. Thank you for all the music and for all the great contributions you made to culture during your lifetime. We appreciate it very much. Thank you for listening to this little short tribute to a great artist. Hope you all stay well, and until next time, keep on rocking. See you soon.